Hi, boys and girls. Guess what? We are going to be doing fraction review. So we're going to be starting a chapter of fractions. We're going to be doing many things with them, but before we do that, we need to do some reviewing. So we have learned that fractions occur in different ways. I have three ways that we have learned. Okay, the first one here is 3/4 of a whole. I just chose 3/4, okay, because that was used as the example on your page. So the whole would be this entire square shape. You could think of it as a cake. And somebody ate 3 pieces. 1, 2, 3. So 3/4 of that square is colored. Then we also learned that fractions occur in a set. So if it's 3/4 of a set that should be colored, that means we should color how many out of the 4? If you said 3, ding, 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 you are right. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Sometimes on number lines, you will see fractions, and commonly you will see those on rulers. But don't get scared, because they're really easy. All right, so you have your main numbers here on the top. I'm just going to put the 0 there and the 1 up there so you can see those are the main numbers. And this particular number line is divided into 4 equal segments. This 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so we're going to write the fractions that would go there. First of all, the 0 is the starting point. It's like standing on the start square when you play a game. Like you didn't do anything, you just start there. So this would be 0/4. Then if you take a step, and you're only allowed 4 steps to get to the first line, to number 1, this would be 1/4, because this is one segment here out of the 4 equal segments to get to 1. This would be 2/4. This next line would be 3/4. And 1 would be 4/4. And that sounds really weird to say 4/4, but if you think about it, say you have a pizza, you divide it into 4 pieces, and somebody ate all 4 pieces. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces eaten out of those 4 pieces. That's one whole pizza eaten. And that's how that works. Okay, so now we're going to compare fractions. So let's just say that you have 1/4 and you want to compare it to 3/4. Is 1/4 greater than, less than, or equal to 3/4? Well, you would look at the denominators. So you want to think of the denominators as pieces. So there are 4 pieces in this one and 4 pieces over here. So you're comparing like dividers, or divisors as you would call it. But you have 4 pieces compared to 4 pieces. So that's great. So that means now that we need to look at how many pieces are named on the top. So you have 1 piece out of 4, and then you have 3 pieces out of 4. So is 1/4, 1 piece out of 4, greater than, less than, or equal to 3 pieces out of 4? If you said less than, you are correct. But now we need to talk about what happens if the number of pieces are different. So let's say I have 3/8, and I want to compare that to 3/4. Well, let's just take a look at this. How would we do that? Well, let's take a look at these numbers right here. That's how many pieces one whole is divided by. Okay, so let's take a look at this one here first. And of course, I'm going to draw a cake because it's easy to cut that up, okay, into pieces. So I need to divide this into 8 pieces. So I'm going to draw one line down here, and then I'm going to draw 4 segments. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And somebody ate 3 of those pieces. All right. Now let's go to the cake. Let's make a cake for 3/4. This time, it's only cut into 4 pieces. And 3 pieces were eaten. Look at the size of those pieces. Do you think now, if you look at the pieces that were eaten, if you were to lay 3/4 over top of the 3/8, the picture, let me see if it'll let me do this here, because I might be able to actually do that where you could see it. Let's see. There it goes. Do you see a difference? I maybe should have made different colors. Next time I'll know. Okay, so which one has bigger pieces? 3/8 or 3/4? If you said 3/4, you are correct. So you need to think about the bottom number as being how many pieces it's divided into, like the cake. Just think of a cake. This one is divided into 8 pieces. That means the pieces will be smaller than if the cake is divided into 4 pieces. Okay, so let's do another practice. Okay, let me erase this. Let's do 2/5, and we're going to compare it to 2/3. Is 2/5 greater than, less than, or equal to 2/3? If you said less than, you are correct, because the more pieces there are, the smaller the pieces get. So very, very good. Okay, so now we're going to order our fractions from least to greatest. I'm going to put an L here for least, and then we're going to go to the greatest over here. So the first thing you want to look at is how many pieces that the whole was cut into. In this case, they were all divided into 10s. We call them tenths. Okay, so now we just need to look at the numerator. That's the top number. So which number would come first? A 1, a 4, or a 7? If you said 1, you are correct. 1/10 is the answer. The first one, that's the least. And then which number would come next? 4/10 or 7/10? If you said 4/10, you are correct. And then 7/10 would be the last one, the greatest number. All right, so now we're going to do that again, but this time we're going to do it with numbers that don't have the same denominator. You have 2/3, 2/7, 2/5. Okay, do you remember what I said about how many cuts are in the whole? The more cuts there are, the smaller the pieces. In this case, the numerators are all the same. Okay. So let's take a look at the denominators down here. That's what we need to look at. We're going to go from least to greatest. Okay, so I'm just going to cross these out because those are all the same. That makes it easy then. Which number would come first? Remember, the more cuts, the smaller. If you said 2/7, you are correct. 2/7 is the least. Then it would be 2/5 and then 2/3. Very good. The last thing that we need to practice is our mixed numbers. Now, a mixed number is whenever you see a whole number next to a fraction. So say I have 1 3/4. That would be shown as one whole, I'm just going to call it a pizza. So this 1 is right there. Then we have to do the 3/4 that's added to the 1 over here. So then that would be 3 pieces out of the 4. And that is how we would draw 1 3/4. Now, sometimes there's this thing called improper fractions, where you would see a number similar to this one, 5/2. Well, how can you have 5/2 when we know a half is only 2 pieces? That is because we had 1, 2. If I take a circle and I divide it into half, that's 1 piece, that's 2 pieces, this is 3 pieces, that's 4. I have to have another one, this is 5. Okay, that's 5 halves. 5 halves equals 5 halves. Okay, well, that would be this 1 and this 2. Remember, these are wholes. This whole and that whole is, 1 plus 1 is 2. So, okay, let me see if I can explain it to you better here. Let me erase this. Okay, so this one here is 1. This one here is also 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2 and 1/2. 2 and 1/2 equals 5 halves. Well, how do I know that? Because I would say this 2 plus, not plus, I don't want to say plus, I'm sorry, times the big whole number 2 equals 4 plus this 1 here equals 5. But we didn't do that yet in class. But just be aware that that is something we're going to be moving into. All you need to know is basically that you're going to add up the pieces. Sometimes the pieces add up to more than the denominator for each whole, and that will be okay. This is something we're going to be learning in this chapter, and I'm excited to teach it to you. All right. Well, until next time.